Welcome students. Today I would like to say regarding the geological time scale. Geological time scale. The geological time scale generally differentiated in three steps. First step is known as eras. Era is the singular term, eras is the plural term. Then eras are divided into periods. The sum of the eras are known as periods. By the periods, eras formed. Okay? Each era divided into periods. Then each period divided into the epochs. Epochs is the smallest unit in the geological time scale in year. Eras is the greater unit, greater time scale. It would be differentiated into four distinct regions. One is called as your pre-Cambrian era. Second one is called as Paleozoic era. Third one is known as Mesozoic era. Fourth one is known as your Cenozoic era. Geological timescales measures the time from Earth's formation to the present day. This scale is divided into eras, periods, and epochs. Earth is said to be have formed about 4,600 million years ago. 4,006 million years ago would be explained in the term of year 4,600 Mya. M-Y-A. Mya means million years ago. Okay? Which one here wrote 4,600? Okay? That is called as million years ago. Life is thought to have originated about 3,400 million years ago, or 3,400 Maya. M-Y-A. Okay? From there, life would be arised. The events in the history of the earth formation can be timed either by comparative dating or absolute dating. The comparative dating is a useful way in which one event is placed either before or later than another. In absolute dating, actual dates are given to the events, but it is very difficult. Any time scale produced in this way tend to change with new evidences being found. Here you mark the geological timescales showing the life eras from 570 million years ago, or 570 Maya, to the present day. Each of the eras has been divided into periods, and the names of these periods often indicates the place where the rocks were first identified. For example, Cambrian is the place of wellness, and Quaternary and Tertiary are the periods further divided into epochs. All the time figures are in the million years. However, you find four distinct era: pre-Cambrian, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. First of all, you know about your pre-Cambrian. Pre-Cambrian is a microscopic algae existing 3,500 million years ago. Soft-bodied animals evolved at the end of the period. Okay, that is called as pre-Cambrian. Okay, then you know about your next era is called as your Paleozoic. The Paleozoic era, the animals are shown in their living position except for your graptoliths, which would have been floating in the surface waters, a primitive jawless fish, and ostracoderms lodged among the weeds, the background. And that era would be known as Paleozoic era. After the Paleozoic, just above of it, you find the Mesozoic. And Mesozoic, in shortly say, it is one era, and the evolution of the dinosaurs was the main event as far as the life on the earth was concerned. Mammals remained small and also inconspicuous, while the giant reptiles flourished in the air. Okay, and that is the short expression regarding the Mesozoic era. And lastly, you know Cenozoic era. And Cenozoic era is a selection of the land animals that roamed on the earth during this era, and that period is known as Cenozoic era. And just at the lateral side of this era, mention some digital expressions, and these are nothing. These are called as million years ago, and this is the 4,600 million years ago. This period is called as pre-Cambrian period, and your Paleozoic, it is one era. It also remained in your million, how much million? 570 million years ago, and Mesozoic era also be likely your 250 million years ago, and your Cenozoic era also be known as the 65 million years ago, and all these things are mentioned in the million years ago, or shortly say Mea. Okay, and you see, and the animals are distributed in these eras, and very important era will be known as your Mesozoic era. From the pre-Cambrian era, from there, generally the animal beings are coming to the notice, and to the other organisms, and from there, generally the animals also, plants also evolve by the by, and towards your Cenozoic, the animals are more advanced, and along with the plants, flora and fauna also developed by the by towards your pre-Cambrian to your Cenozoic. It will be considered all the times from down to upward. Okay, and this is your knitting expression regarding your geological time scales. The comparative dating is a useful way in which one event is placed either before or the later than another, and the absolute dating, actual dates are given to the events, but it is very difficult. Any time scale produced in this way tend to change with a new evidence being found. Okay, then if you study the periods also be several in the different eras. In the pre-Cambrian period, you find two your periods. One period is called as Archean. Second period is called as your Proterozoic. And Archean means the beginning of the earth. No life existed in that time. And Proterozoics, in there you find the primitive life form. Initial life form is arising here. Okay? Then you find your Cambrian, and that would be takes the 60, okay, that million years just after it. Then you find Ordovician, then you find Silurian, Devonian, and Carboniferous, and Permian. Okay, these are, you find in there the 6 your periods which are present within the era in that time, and that will be arising from the Cambrian, and pre-Cambrian already finished, then came Cambrian, then you find Ordovician, then you find Silurian, Devonian, and your Carboniferous, and lastly you find the Permian. After the completion of the Permian, your Paleozoic period will be over. Then you come to know about the Mesozoic. In Mesozoic you find 3 different periods, and first one is called as a Triassic, second one is called as Jurassic, and last one is called as Cretaceous. The Mesozoic period will be divided into 3 different periods. Mesozoic is one era. It will be divided into 3 periods. The first period is pre-period is called as Triassic. Second one and middle one is called as Jurassic, and last one is called as Cretaceous. Okay, and in Cenozoic, and only one considerable period is there, that is called as Tertiary. That is called as Tertiary. Then you find the epoch. Okay, and that one comes in the period of the Quaternary. In Quaternary, the epoch will be remaining there. That is called as your Pleistocene and your Recent. They will be remaining under the epoch in case of the Quaternary. Okay, but in case of Cenozoic, and which one is called Tertiary, and in there you find some epochs, and these epochs are named as your Paleocene and Eocenes, Oligocenes, and your Miocene. Lastly, you know your Pliocene. Okay, and you remember all the times the strata are your the period which one comes the epoch, and they will be the present or nowadays. One which are remain before of it, they will be primitive. All the times the primitive one, older one will be remaining lower, and new one will be remaining at the above of them. Okay, in this manner the geological time scale will be read, and I will go through the different your periods. You pre-Cambrian you already knew, and nextly you know your Cambrian, and Cambrian you see North America joined to the Scotland as one continent, England joined to the rest Europe, and many groups of your shellfish and trilobites and sponges evolved in that period. Okay, then you know one period that is called as the Silurian. In Silurian you find very peculiarities in there, but before the Silurian another period also be there, that is called as your Ordovician. In Ordovician you mark that is the shallow seas covered hog areas, the volcanic activities in Britain, and your glaciation, the Sahara deserts, and the fish evolved, but invertebrates including the trilobites and brachiopods and dominated the sea, and there was no life on land in that time, and that period is known as Ordovician. Ordovician, it is a period. After the Ordovician, next one is called as Silurian. The next one is Silurian, and Silurian is the mountain upraised in northern Britain and Scandinavia and the eastern USA, and coral reefs develop in the Britain. Giant water scorpions and small fish live in the fresh water in that time. And that period is called as Silurian period. Next period is known as your Devonian period. Clear warm seas, very widespread with many coral reefs and plants, and the latter insects is colonized the land for the first time. The amphibian evolves from the fish in that period. That is called as Devonian period. After that, you find another period that is called as your Carboniferous period. The Carboniferous period, and your much of the North America and Europe was a low and swampy, and great forest of the giant tree and falls and your hostels developed at that end of the period. Reptiles evolved from the amphibians during this period. Okay, that is called as your what? Named as your Carboniferous period. Then you find another period that is called as Permian period, and that is the last period of the Paleozoic. Okay, and that is called as Permian period. And in Permian period you find the Appalachian and Central Europe mountains formed, and your continent united in a single mass that is called as Pangaea, and many ancient groups including the Trilobites and the Rigos corals, and became at the end extinct. Okay, that period is called as Permian period. And you see here reflected the 6 different periods in the name of your Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous and Permian periods. That means the Paleozoic divided into 6 periods. Okay, and your Cambrian is the old among them, and Permian is the new. Okay, older one described initially, and latter one must be called as the new ones. They will be remaining at the latter. Nextly, you know the Mesozoic. While the Mesozoic will also be divided into 3 periods: Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. Again listen, Mesozoic divided into 3 different periods, and Mesozoic is the era, and that is the era of the 250 million years ago or Maya, and that will be divided into 3 different periods. The first period is known as the Triassic. What is it? Triassic. What is Triassic? In the Triassic, that is a hot desert over much of the northern Europe. Most of the northern America was also above water. The first dinosaurs or Ichthyosaurus and mammals evolved in this period, and that is very important period that is named as the Triassic period. That is pre-Jurassic period, so it is called Triassic period. Then you find the Jurassic period. The second one, the following one is the Jurassic period. The shallow seas over the Britain and the western USA, the Atlantic Ocean gradually opened and dinosaurs dominated the land through the small mammals, and birds are also be found in that period. That period is named as Jurassic period, which one is followed by the Cretaceous period. In Cretaceous period, the inland seas and swamps in the North America, a great delta, and the open sea in the Britain, and chalk laid down over much Europe and North America. Dinosaurs becomes extinct at the end of this period, and flowering plants also evolved in that time. That means your phanerogames would be developed in that time. After that, your Cretaceous like your period is over, and after the Cretaceous period, then you know your the Cenozoic period, and in Cenozoic periods only you find the Tertiary at the last, but they would be differentiated into the epochs, and different type of epochs also be remaining there, and then you mark in the Tertiary what would be happening there, and the Alps and Andes and Rocky Mountains form, and Greenland get splitted from Europe, and Maltas evolved to the dominant the land. Okay, and that type of events would be happened in the Cenozoic period, a Cenozoic era, as well as the period of the Tertiary. And then you come to the advanced stage, that is called as Quaternary. In Quaternary you find two epochs. One is called as your Paleocene, other one is called as a recent. What is your Quaternary? That is the actually ices generally affected from the North America, Northern Europe and Asia, low sea levels elsewhere, and extinction of the large mammals after the ice age, that is called as Homo sapiens, and your appeared in that time. That means human being is formed in the Quaternary period. Okay, I already went through the different periods which are remaining under your eras is finished in here. Thank you all. I expressed some organisms which are remaining within the Paleozoic era. In Paleozoic era, you find 6 periods. In the Devonian period, you find some organisms which are available in the seawater. What are these? Shellfish, trilobites, and sponges. These organisms generally evolved in that period, that is called as Devonian period. Second period is known as the Ordovician period. In this period, you find fish, trilobites, and brachiopods. These are noticed in that time. Okay. The next one is the Silurian period. In that period, you find the water scorpion, your small fish, and coral reefs. They would be noticed in that time. And that period is called as Silurian period. Maximum fish would be generated in this time. Then, next period is known as Devonian period. In this period, you find the amphibia, which are modified from the fishes. And you find some, the group insects, which are remaining in the colonial matters. Okay, these organisms should be noticed in that time. That period is known as Devonian period. Then fifth one is called as Carboniferous period. In this period, you can notice some your plants like your pteridophytes, okay, named as the fawns and ostriches. They also be noticed in that time, and reptiles also be arrived in that time. And reptiles generally born in this period. That is called as Carboniferous period. Okay, then you know next about the Permian period. In this period you find trilobites and the ribose corals. They will be evolved in that time. Paleozoic era generally generated those animals which are remaining on the blackboard, and these animals will be formed in that time. Okay, and this is the Paleozoic era. Let us review the Mesozoic era. Mesozoic era came to the earth after the Paleozoic era. Before the Paleozoic era, we find the pre-Cambrian era. However, after your Paleozoic era, you can know the Mesozoic era remained, and that period generally divided into three distinct periods. In the era, it comprises three distinct periods. Firstly, you find the Triassic period. Secondly, you find the Jurassic period, and this period is the Jurassic period, the second one. Okay, and third one is called as Cretaceous period. I label these three periods 1, 2, 3 as a what? Your ascending band. Okay, and this is your first, second, and third. The Triassic period, Jurassic period, and Cretaceous period. Jurassic period is very vital most period. Okay, and in this period you find the dinosaurs came to the universe as the dominant animals. Okay, and first of all, you try to understand the Triassic period. In Triassic period, you find some organisms like dinosaurs, Ichthyosaurus, and small mammals. Generally, they are evolved in that time. Okay, that is called Triassic period. That is considered as pre-Jurassic period. After the Triassic period, the Jurassic period came. In that period, you find some organisms in the universe. They are named as dinosaurs and small mammals like the rodents. Generally, they are noticed in that time. Then, after this period, the next period was known as your Cretaceous period. In this period, dinosaurs is going to be extinct in that time. And one organism came to the world, that is named as the flowering plants. And they are also be commonly called as phanerogames. We can differentiate as the two types, known as your gymnosperms and angiosperms, and those plants generally arise in that time. Then they develop in the universe. Okay, and in this manner, the organisms are distributed in three different periods, which comes under the Jurassic era. Okay. Please look over the one era that is named as Cenozoic era. In Cenozoic era or Cenozoic era, in this era, you find your tertiary period, and in tertiary period is the period in which you find the dependent mammals should be evolved. The new mammals should be generally evolved in that time, and that period is known as your tertiary period that remains under the era that is called as Cenozoic era or Cenozoic era. Okay, and the animals should be distributed like this and in different periods as well as different era. Lastly, I explain you about your era in which you find Quaternary period. Lastly, focused on the point of your modern era, in which you find the Quaternary period. In this period, actually, Homo sapiens are evolved, and Homo sapiens came to the earth surface, and Homo sapiens means human being. It will be came to the world, and that period is known as Quaternary period. It will be considered within the modern era. Okay, in this manner, the era comprises periods, and period comprises epochs, and some organisms generally noticed in that time, and I already described to them.